My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
So good, so good, so good.
Get ready, because it's time to save at your Nordstrom Rack store. Now through February 23rd, take an extra 40% off red tag clearance boots, jackets, and sweaters. We're talking the best cold weather styles from Vince, Cole Haan, Sam Edelman, and more. All on sale for even less. All sales final. You never know what you'll find, but you know it's gonna be so good. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
Welcome, Kool-Aid drinkers, to the Detroit Lions Kool-Aid Packet. That's right, folks. We're back for another short segment for, the people. And it's coming to you today live from ya boy at Chops in the D. This is just a small glass of Kool-Aid to keep you satisfied before the regular pod drops every Wednesday morning. And today, I want to talk to you about our Lions 2025 free agents. These are guys that have been on the roster, they played in 2024, or they had a significant cap hit in 2024. I'm going to go through them one by one. I'm going to talk about salary. I'm going to talk about roster impact. And I'm going to tell you what I would do if I were Brad, always open for business, Holmes. And as you know, we don't have time to mess around. So let's just dive right into it. I'm going to start off first by setting the table here and letting you know the NFL projected cap hit is at $275 million. 275, people. That is a $20 million increase from 2024. If my cap tabulations are correct, 275 is the number, and that is a big jump, folks. That's an extra $20 million for our Lions to dive into and spend in free agency. We are currently projected to have about $56 million in cap space. And don't forget, folks, we're going to be picking at pick 28, at pick 60. I'm expecting to get a third-round draft pick for the AG signing that as a comp pick. We're going to have a fourth rounder, a sixth rounder, and 2 seventh rounders to be able to fill some gaps and dive in to build this roster. And you know that Brad Holmes, Dan freaking Campbell, and the regime down at Ford Field are going to be ready to go, ready to load up, and ready to start doing something with these picks. But before they do that, they're going to get some action in free agency. So let's start with our first free agent. He is, if my boy Oakrey were here, he would play the drop, but we don't have the drop. I hate the drop. I'm just going to say the Carlton. In 2024, he had a $14 million cap hit. And that was a pretty pricey tag, but guess what? He came in and he locked it down. Before his injury, he was absolutely our number one corner, and he was playing really, really well across from Terrion Arnold on the other side. Doing a little digging here, my market value that I'm seeing for Carlton right now is about $13.8 million. However, that may be a little aggressive considering that he's coming off an injury. You know that Brad Holmes may be able to put those meat hooks together, slap those hands together and say, listen here, Mr. Davis, let's have a little talk. You're coming off an injury. We love you. You're a dog. We want you here in the D. But we are going to need a little bit of hometown discount. So I expect that they will be able to get some kind of deal done to get him re-signed. I'm really hoping for something under $13 million, maybe something more around like $11-12 million coming off that injury. Not really sure how he's going to respond and when he's going to be ready. But I would absolutely love to see Carlton Davis back in the Honolulu Blue on the other side, locking down that secondary and that corner position, because we know that is a huge piece, a huge spot of need. And if we can get the Carlton re-signed here in Detroit, that would be absolutely amazing. Transitioning over to our next player. And again, folks, I'm going in order here by what their cap hit was in 2024. So let's go to Marcus Davenport. My co-host, the host of the show, Derek Oakery, had a couple of not so nice nicknames for Mr. Davenport. I'm just going to stick with Marcus Davenport. I'm not going to allude to anything else. But Marcus Davenport, $6.5 million cost in 2024. He did not have a great season, to say the least. Injury issues. I think he had a hard time getting on the field. There was some question whether he was actually going to play even when he was quote-unquote healthy. This is a player to me, even though his market value has dropped significantly, estimated at $2.2 million, I do not see Marcus Davenport getting a new contract here in Detroit. I think that's one where they just say, we got other needs, or we got our eyes on other, that is a big need. Defensive end is definitely a big need, but we've got our eyes set on a little bit of a bigger fish. So we're going to let Mr. Davenport walk, and he can go sign that contract somewhere else. Sticking around with the defensive line, Mr. John Kaminsky, of course, the commish, $4.2 million cap hit. I don't believe he played a snap in all of 2024. I believe he's going to be 31 years old. 29 years old at the start of the season, maybe almost 30. And this is another one, folks, where it's a great story. It was nice to see him get paid. He was very, heartwarming and touching piece during the Hard Knocks segments. But I just think that John Kaminsky's time here in Detroit is over. Again, defensive end, I think we just got our eyes set on a little bit bigger of a fish. I'm seeing his projected market value around $2.5 million. And though it was only a $4.2 million hit in 2024, I just can't envision us re-signing John Kaminsky. I think that's one where they just kind of let him walk. Before we shift over to the offensive side of the ball, I want to jump back over here. We've got Mosley. Emmanuel Mosley, man, I had such high expectations for this guy, but he was just not able to be healthy, to be out on the field. It was a $2.8 million cap hit in 2024. Again, I don't even think he played very limited snaps, if any. I do not see us making a move on Emmanuel Mosley. I expect that we will have our eyes on other players in that position, potentially in the draft. Cornerback is still a big need, like I mentioned earlier, but I just can't see us throwing money out there to Emmanuel Mosley because I don't even know if he's really going to be able to play football. That brings me to our first offensive player here, and this is Kevin Zeitler. He has announced that he is coming back for year 14. He'll be 35 when the season starts. And I just want to set the table and give you a little reminder that when everybody was banging the drum for Jonah Jackson to get re-signed and get Pizzade, and he did, the Rams paid him, and it did not work out well for them. They overpaid Jonah Jackson, and he was not able to be on the field. It got to the point where, despite his cap hit, he was healthy and was still not out on the field. So Brad Holmes was absolutely shrewd and crude and rude and let Jonah Jackson walk and said, you know what, I'm just going to replace you here with Kevin Zeitler. $6 million cap hit in 2024. Now this guy, he performed. He was part of the best O-line in football. And his market value is actually a tick up now at $9.2 million. I am on board with absolutely re-signing Kevin Zeitler, paying him that $9 million a year, and let's bring back the starting five on that O-line. I know there's going to be a little bit of work to do. We know that Terry Ledecker's getting up in age. We know that Frank Ragnow's getting up in age. There's definitely going to need to be some investment going on there to get some more help on the offensive line as the years progress here. But with Kevin Zeitler back in the fold, with Graham Glasgow there, of course, Penei Sewell, the starting five comes back. You've also got Christian Mahogany, who's been rotated in, a great draft pick from last season. I expect Brad Holmes to continue to build that offensive line, maybe with a later round draft pick, maybe with another supportive role player that we sign. But man, bring me back some Kevin Zeitler so we can run that back and just keep that O-line protecting all our weapons and our quarterback. The hashtag golf train is nice and crispy clean so we can deliver the ball to all those weapons.
Pepsid Complete knows that food is one of the best parts of game day. That is, until heartburn strikes. Thankfully, just one chewable tablet of Pepsid Complete provides dual-action heartburn relief with an antacid that starts working instantly and an acid reducer that lasts all day. So you can stay focused on that second helping of chili without worrying about heartburn. All day based on 8-hour symptom relief studies during the day. Use product only as directed.
I think I just won my taxes.
Yeah?
I just switched to H&R Block in about 1 minute. All I had to do was drag and drop last year's return into H&R Block, and bam, my information is automatically there.
So I don't have to go digging around for all my old papers to switch?
Nope.
Sounds like we just leveled up our tax game.
Switching to H&R Block is easy. Just drag and drop your last return. It's better with Block.
To realize the future America needs, we understand what's needed from us. To face each threat head on. We've earned our place in the fight for our nation's future. We are Marines. We were made for this.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine before they start. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents on average 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pup, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
Jumping back, actually, you know what? Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball here. Let's now move to Tim Patrick, okay? Tim Patrick, nice little complimentary receiver there. He was our number 3 guy, a $1.1 million cap hit. Actually, not too bad of a production for Mr. Patrick there, given that he was very low paid. He filled into that wide receiver 3 role very well. I know there were some other guys in the fold with Allen Robinson and Raymond Khalif. I know we actually just signed a futures contract with Ronnie Bell, but I would actually like to see Tim Patrick back in the fold for 2024. 33 receptions, 394 yards, 3 tugs, and it seemed like when we needed a big play, we were able to count on Tim Patrick to make it. He'll be in his 8th season, and I would actually love to see that. Market value right now has him about $1.7 million, and I am okay with the Lions saying, hey, here's $2 million, Tim Patrick. Come back, be our number 3, and let's run this back. Maybe mentor a young wide receiver that we bring home in the draft. And, as my co-host and host of the show, Derek Oakery, has alluded to, he expects to see some couple tweaks there in the wide receiver room. and maybe with maybe some hashtag JMOFast, but he's expecting to see a little bit of shuffling, a little bit of juggling. I know there's been some Cooper Kupp talk. We'll see how that goes, but I am definitely down to get Tim Patrick back in the mix there with that wide receiver spot. Jumping back to the O-line, we've got our boy who is absolutely reporting for eligible, Dan Skipper, at a $1.1 million cap hit in 2024. And I just love this player. I know it might be gimmicky, it might be fun to talk about how he's reporting is eligible, but Dan Skipper is just kind of one of those guys that he just doesn't, he just gets in there and does his job, right? 5 seasons in the NFL, age 30, like 6'9", 330, just ready to, fill in wherever he's needed there. I actually like this offensive tackle to be re-signed. I'm hoping that his market value is set around $2 million, and I think that he wants to be a part of this winning culture. He wants to stay on this line, and he wants to see this job through and re-sign with the Lions at $2 million. I've heard some ridiculous talk about some team like, overreaching or throwing some stupid $6, $7, $8 million at Dan Skipper because they've seen what he's done there on the offensive line in the Lions. And I mean, look, if that happens, more power to him. Go get paid, Dan. I can appreciate that, but I would love to see Dan Skipper report as a Lion in 2025 around that $2 million mark. Last offensive player that I want to talk about is my boy Craig Reynolds, Netflix Craig. Come on, Craig. I think that, Craig Reynolds is kind of a little bit of an anomaly. Like, I feel like he has the ability to have an expanded role, and he can play more snaps if and when needed. I know when David Montgomery was out, he filled into that number 2 role really nicely. I know we've got Mr. Vaki in the wings there too, a 2024 draft pick that the Lions are very high on. Of course, we know that Ja and D-Money are coming back as the 1-2 punch, but it's always good to have depth. It's always great to have guys that can come in and fill those other needs if somebody goes down. So Craig Reynolds is a nice little hit there. He's actually a restricted free agent, cap hit of $1 million. And I actually would not be surprised to see him get a little bit of a bump there, but we know that running backs do not typically get paid. So I would love to see Craig Reynolds come back there, run it back at about $2 million. And let's see what he can do for us there in that RB3 role. And again, he's always got that skill to take it another notch if and when needed and called upon. So come on, Craig, re-sign with the Lions, and let's run it back here with those same 4 running backs that we had in 2024. Shifting back to the defense, we got Derek Oakrey's boy, Big Denim, Mr. Onzarike Levi. His current hit in 2024 was $2 million, and he's got a little bit of an uptick here for his market value at $4.5 million. So I would not be surprised to see him get paid a little bit, maybe around that $5-6 million. And this is one that's going to be a tough decision for the Detroit Lions. Of course, in that tackle position, they got DJ Reader, they got Broderick Martin in the mix there, kind of, sort of. Of course, you've got Aleem McNeil, the Dream, aka, in the mix as well. So I'm going to be curious to see what the Lions decide to do here with Mr. Big Denim, looking for a little bit of pay increase. Personally, if it were me, I think I'd be okay bringing him back around that $4 million, but anything more than that, and that's definitely that tackle position that we can look to fill in the draft. So I would not be surprised to see a couple of bodies coming in there. I know that we've got another couple that we've drafted here early on with Wingo in the mix too. So very curious to see what happens with Big Denim. Next two, a little more in the secondary, folks. I think we all know where we're going to stand on these guys with Kindle Vildor and Khalil Dorsey, both around $1.2, $1.4 million cap hits in 2024. I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm done with them. They can go sign somewhere else. I'm not interested in bringing them back. We saw what they could cover, and they couldn't cover a coffee table. They didn't even really help us out that much when all these injuries happened. Of course, going from the Carlton to Terrion to Meek Robertson to Rakestraw, all these guys that got hurt in the secondary, and they were basically bodies, and I didn't think they really filled the role very well. So I'm okay with just letting those guys walk and wishing them well wishes. The last two guys that I want to talk about are a little interesting here. The first is another piece in that secondary, and this is Ife Melifonwu. I am very curious to see what the Lions are going to do with Ife Melifonwu. He played 10 regular season games, a couple of tackles, not a whole lot of snaps. He kind of falls into that role where in that secondary, in that safety role where, man, we got Kerbo, we got Brian Branch. We got a lot of ball hawks in that area there. So I don't know what the thought is with Ife. I mean, he's got a cap hit of $1.1 million. Market value has him right around $2 million, $2.5 million. I thought there were times where Ife had flashes and he looked like he could fit that spot and fit that role. We needed to come in and be a rotational guy when BB and the ball hawk Kirby Joseph needed a break. But if he wants to come back on a cheap deal, I'm totally fine with it. He may want to see what's out there. Maybe another team is looking for another safety, and they've seen the improvements that safety group has had in the Lions, and they're going to be willing to give him some money. And I don't know. I'm curious to see. If I were Brad, I would probably another one of those. Hey, Ife, like you want to take $1.5-2 million? Okay, we can run it back. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe a little prove it deal. But he's not going to be predominantly featured with the other two guys that we got there in our safety positions. All right, Kool-Aid drinkers, the last name that I've got on my list here. We love this guy. He doesn't spell his name the right way. Of course, the host of the show will tell you this. It's Derek Barnes. And the question is, where does Derek Barnes fit with the Detroit Lions? Does he fit with the Detroit Lions? That linebacker spot, you've got Jack Campbell. Of course, you've got Fabio Anzalone. You've got Jalen Reeves-Maven. You've got Rodrigo! That was the live version because I don't have the drops at my disposal here. But you've got some linebackers there. Ben Neiman and Trevor Nowaski. You've got a lot of bodies in there. I'm not saying that all of them are going to be coming back. In fact, I believe the last two I mentioned are also free agents. But I just don't know if Derek Barnes is really a comeback for 2025 player that we're looking at. I mean, again, he's a later round pick. He was only making $1 million. But I just don't see Derek Barnes coming back this year in 2025. Again, I think he was limited to 10 games this year. It was hurt at the end of the year. So health was, of course, a little bit of an issue for him. But, I had such high hopes when we drafted Derek Barnes. I know Oakery and I were very, very excited when he became a Detroit Lion back in, I think it was 2021, fourth round pick. But he just hasn't really panned out. He showed flashes, but he hasn't really been that steady go-to guy that I thought he was going to be. So this is another one where I'm going to think that, look, I think we're okay with just saying thanks for your time, Derek. It's been a nice 4 years here in the D, but we're going to let you go explore other options. One less Derek in the fold. What Derek that's going to stay around, and that's at Derek Oakery on the Twitterverse. And your boy, at Chops in the D, is going to be running it back in 2025, talking all things Lions. I hope you enjoyed this quick, small glass, this small taste of Kool-Aid, this Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid packet to keep you satisfied before the main show hits on Wednesday. Drink it in, everybody.